So today I am off to my local Omniplex theatre to see the latest instalment of the Alien franchise, Alien Romulus. It's a franchise that I've grown up with. I first saw the original one when I was about 12-year-old, back in the, well, I think it would have been about 79, 80, I remember. I actually saw it at school, to be honest. We had like an after school kind of film club, and one of the teachers hired the film on proper kind of 35mm film, and we watched it on a big screen in the school hall. And I remember going home by myself on the evening afterwards, dark, late at night, and I was absolutely shitting myself after watching the first Alien film. So I'm off to see the latest installment. I'm also going to check out the cinema itself, because the last time I was there 3 months ago was the week that this cinema actually opened, and I was quite disappointed in the way it looked. So there was no advertising inside. It looked quite bare, so I'm hoping that it has improved since I was there 3 months ago. So I'm the first person here. There's no one else in this screening. When I did buy my ticket on the machine, it did look like there was another, I think it was possibly 3 other seats kind of taken, with 20 minutes to go before the actual screening. There's no one else here, so I'm just hoping that no one else turns up and I've got the whole cinema to myself. But who shall say? Anyway, sitting here waiting for the film to start in the dark. Right, so I'm back home after watching the film. I've had to redo my kind of little review of it, because I sat in the car and it was, when I watched it back, it was quite depressing. So I'm going to do a little bit more cheery review. So overall, the good things about the film, obviously it's an Alien film, which is always a good thing to have a new one, because we haven't had one for a while. The good things about it that I enjoyed, it was in keeping with the original film, and I know a lot of people have kind of criticised it, saying, oh well, it's just a rehash of the original film, and it's got a lot of the same elements to that, some of the computers that were on the Nostromo, all that kind of the same kind of sound effects and everything, which is great. That's absolutely fabulous. I love that. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but there are some familiarities to the first film. I'm not going to say anything, but I love that as well. But the downside of that is, there's a lot of films that kind of, when they're doing these sequels many years later, they're doing these kind of nods to the original thing, and they're bringing in elements from the original film, which you just think, well, why do you need to do that? Just do your own thing. And there was a certain phrase that was used in this film, which was from the second film, Aliens, which I thought, oh, why did you use that phrase? It's just cheesy. So that was, yeah, I didn't like that bit. But overall, I quite enjoyed the film. I did come away at the end of it feeling a little kind of empty. I don't know if it was because there was nothing majorly new about the whole kind of Alien story franchise thing. There was a couple of little surprises in there, which was good. Things that were not wrong with the film, but I didn't quite enjoy, didn't quite like, was when I first started watching the film, the main cast, or the characters in the film, were very, very young. Not teenagers, but like kind of, early mid-20s, and I just thought, oh, they've just gone with this kind of, the whole woke kind of culture that's going on at the minute. They've just done it to the Alien franchise. So that kind of peed me off at the very beginning of the film, but then you kind of got lost in what was happening, and most of them characters got killed off anyway, so you kind of just forgot about that anyway. So it wasn't a major issue, but it just initially, I think it just kind of was like, oh. And all these youngsters were in charge of like a spaceship, and they knew, had all the training and stuff, which would normally it would take someone like bloody years to acquire all this knowledge of how to operate all this kind of tech, you know. That was kind of one of my little gripes anyway. Yeah, I get the fact that people are saying it's just a rehash of the original, but it's like, if you go and do something completely original, different, then you're just going to get people complaining about, oh, it's nothing like the originals kind of thing. So you can't really win from that point of view. So I get it. And that was, I did quite like that, to be honest, because it was so it's supposed to be a standalone film between Alien and Aliens, but it's not really. It's a direct sequel to the first Alien film with Sigourney Weaver, and at the very beginning, I will give a little spoiler here. At the very, very, very beginning of the film, you see all of the debris from the original Nostromo, and that's what kind of sets up the film, basically. So it kind of carries on from there. So overall, I did enjoy it, but I just thought it was nothing new. But then, is that a good thing? Yeah, I think so. I didn't want something kind of completely different, because I was a little bit, although I did enjoy Prometheus and Covenant, they were quite kind of almost different films to the Alien films. So that, I didn't like that element, but I did like the films, but they weren't they were disjointed from the Alien franchise, I thought anyway. So the good thing about this film is, obviously, you've got all the alien elements in there. So you've got the xenomorph, you've got the face huggers. What you don't have is the pods, the leathery pods that the face huggers come out of. You don't see any of that. There's none of those in there, which I thought there kind of should have been, but then you would have to have a queen to lay those eggs, and there was no queen in this particular film, so I understand that. There wouldn't be an Alien film without an android in there, so you've got an android in there, and that was another thing that annoyed me, was the android in it. It seemed to be the most stupidest android ever. I mean, the kind of young guys and girls that were in the film were actually more intelligent than the actual bloody android. But there was a reason behind that, which obviously that kind of came into the film as you went on, so you found out kind of why that was like that. But initially I always thought, well, why would you make a stupid bloody android? It doesn't make any sense. But there was a reason for that. So overall, I did enjoy the film. It was a great film, very well made, fantastic production design, fantastic performances from the actors, lighting, sound, just the whole editing was just absolutely great. The only thing that I can really kind of put my finger on that was a bad thing, really, is it didn't elicit any kind of emotions. I didn't feel kind of fear or anxiety or joy at the characters kind of, defeating the xenomorphs and that kind of thing. So it didn't really kind of bring out any emotions in us when you're watching the film, which is what you really want. So I came away a little bit kind of feeling a little bit empty at the end of the film. But it was a good film overall. So I was going to talk about the actual venue as well. So it has slightly improved from 3 months ago when I went before. It's got some advertisements up there, not a lot. And a lot of the advertising up there is just their kind of brand, their logo, the Omniplex kind of logo. So there's not a lot of like film stuff on there. I think there was 3 or 4 posters on the walls, one of which was the Alien one. So there wasn't a lot of advertising, to be honest, for a cinema. So it's a bit of a disappointing venue. I mean, the Omniplex kind of cinema is I've never heard of it until kind of they took over this cinema, because it's obviously an old building, so it's previously been a Cineworld, and then after that it was the Empire Cinema, and then they've both gone into liquidation or whatever, so Omniplex has taken over. I've never really heard of Omniplex until 3 months ago, when they kind of opened, they took over this building. So it's just the infrastructure there is just exactly the same, really. They haven't changed the decor or anything, just put their own logos up. The seating in the theatre where the seat I was in, was very well used. The springs were kind of, it wasn't very comfortable. There wasn't much padding on the seat, and I tried a couple of other seats kind of around the seat that I bought, and they were a lot more padded compared to the one that I was sitting on, so they could do with some new seating in there, to be honest. But well, obviously I didn't go there to kind of for the venue itself. I went there for the film. So overall, yes, I enjoyed it, but I think I could have had more enjoyment, I think. I don't know. Anyway, I just got this feeling of kind of being let down a little bit, even though I did like the film, but that's just me whining on.